Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Hebraic Awakening. We're going to talk about extreme isolation that is happening within the faith sector because of all of the craziness that's going on, all right? You may feel a little attacked as I am talking, but know that I am coming from a place of understanding and a place of trying to get you to understand that you may need to be healed in that area. Okay, so this video may be a little triggering, all right? You may feel a little attacked, but no, I'm coming from a good place. So those of you who are new here, welcome. My personality type is that I am going to tell it like it is, and I'm not doing it in a brash way, because there are some people who I'll tell it like it is, and you just as brash and carnal as you want to be. So I try not to be that way, all right? I try to give it with a little humor so you can truly understand that I'm not trying to attack anyone, because I know when we are feeling vulnerable, we're going through depression and anxiety, these type of things that people try to say to you can make you feel a little angry, or you feel attacked, or you get triggered. Okay, so that's just my little disclaimer. I know that people are going to say, there are times when the Most High sets me to the side and I have to be by myself. I get that, all right? Because believe it or not, I live that way, right? Even though I am an extrovert, I love people, but I have to have that time where, or a period of time where I am really to myself. Believe it or not, I don't have a lot of people coming in and out of my house, right? It's most times it's just me here. My husband is on the road, taking care of the trucking business, and I am here. My children, they live close, but for the most part, I am here, right? So I spend a lot of time, believe it or not, alone. Believe it or not, but I am not isolating myself on purpose. That's not what it is. Sometimes there's a period of time where the Most High will set you aside and you will not, particularly fellowship with a lot of people, but He does not leave you there indefinitely. Right? So some of us are isolating because of traumatic things that have happened to us. So I'm gonna try to chit chat, but I do want to look at my notes. So when there's a toxic situation, i.e., you go to an assembly, a congregation, a church, and toxic things have happened, your next move is to isolate yourself, right? That's just what we all do. However, when things keep happening, some of us will go to extreme isolation. And that's the problem, because I always talk about the common denominator. So if you keep going to different places and they are toxic, who is the common denominator in all of these situations? It is you, right? So there is some mental health issues going on where everywhere you go, it's toxic. So the choices you're making, the people you're attracting, the common denominator is you. So you have to work on your mental health because it affects your faith, right? That's just bottom line. And we're going to talk about how perfectionism equals unbelief. So we have a mental wellness group, and we are working on self-sabotage, right? So this isolation stems out of the self-sabotage challenge that we're going through, and we are challenging ourselves to look at ourselves to see what area we are sabotaging ourselves in, and we have weekly goals to reach. All right, so sabotage, that's a different video. I think I've already did that video, but isolation can be a form of self-sabotage, right? Extreme isolation, all right? If you used to enjoy social interactions, but now you despise gatherings of any kind, you got some issues. If you are the type of person that love when plans are canceled and you frequently cancel plans, there's a little issue going on, because I know some people, they love when plans are canceled. And I know we say, well, I just like being in the house. Honey, there's a difference between like being in the house, because as I've stated, I'm in the house alone a lot, but I'm not lonely, right? I keep myself busy a lot of the times. If I'm not working as a teacher for the summer, like for the summer I'm not working, I still keep myself, I'm extra busy, all right? So even though I'm alone most of the time, I'm not lonely, and I do get out, all right, and socialize. So, you need to think about that. If you love when plans are canceled, something going on, and you are used to extreme um isolation, and a lot of people hide behind the introvert thing. I do understand about being an introvert, extrovert. I get all of that. But you are hiding from something else when it's extreme. I'm talking about extreme isolation. When you are confronted with plans that may be mandatory, you panic or experience high anxiety. So if you have to go because somebody has mandated for you to go, and you start panicking and getting sweaty and getting antsy, there's a problem. All right. You may feel distress during your isolation, but you dread, and I'm heavy on the word dread, social activities. You dread it. You purposely limit contact. Right? So a lot of us do that. And I noticed that even in our mental wellness group, right? I can spot the people who are like this. And so it's a journey. It's not a sprint. So I'm not, you know, picking on anyone, because I'm on my mental health journey. I just realized how I was sabotaging myself as I'm trying to grow my business. Outside of this Hebraic Awakening, this is not a business, but my Teach tutorial, my homeschooling, and my teacher's business, I realized I was sabotaging my own self. Get up here, stop. Get up here, stop. I was like, girl, it's you. The common denominator is you, child. So you need to get it together. All right. So I'm not picking on anyone. I am going on my mental wellness journey. However, these things I'm pointing out, I know you see them in yourself, and it's time to, get that under control. It's time to overcome. It's time to heal. When you emotionally isolate, and this is emotional isolation, you numb. You don't feel nothing. You don't feel nothing. You are unwilling, or you are unable to share your feelings with anybody. Like, you a person who don't share feelings. You do a lot of small talk, talking around everything else. You never talk about anything serious. You don't want people to know your innermost thoughts. You that person. You are emotionally numb, unable to feel, and you're detached from your emotions. All right. Physical ailments from isolation. There are higher rates of cardiovascular diseases, dementia. Okay. And it's a lot of us suffering from dementia, and we wonder why. Faster cognitive decline. Yes. You emotionally isolated, your cognitive ability is going to sink. Higher levels of depression, anxiety, inflammation on the brain. So I'm thinking as I'm talking, for those that may not know, you're new here, my background is 15 years of nursing, and then I switched careers over to teaching. I believe nursing and teaching go hand in hand, but that's a video for another day. So that's my background. So that's why I feel like I can talk about these things. I'm not a psychologist, but my lane is mental health in the faith sector. And, I'm thinking about, taking some classes, because, you take psychology classes in nursing and teaching, but I'm thinking about getting certified in different areas, just so people can feel like I know what I'm talking about, because I got certificates, You know how we are. All right. Although most people who isolate may appear to be quiet or nonchalant, they are emotionally unstable. They cannot emotionally regulate. So, we were talking about having an emotional regulation class for children for my business with the homeschooling, and I want to introduce that to our community. But it was an overwhelming response that the adults don't know how to emotionally regulate. And I'm like, whoa, I never thought about trying to teach adults how to emotionally regulate. So that may be something that we also offer. And I don't know how we're going to do it, but I'm going to talk with some other community groups and see how we can put this together, because you can't teach your children how to emotionally regulate if you can't, right? Because you got some issues that you need to work through. Loneliness disrupts neural activity related to social behavior, and you have less cognitive control. Now, this neuroimaging technique called fMRI, it measures the brain activity. This technique helps neuroscientists to see which part of the brain are active during task or mental processes. All right, this is important. Loneliness disrupts regions in the brain that controls emotional processes. So we usually think of elders, right, who may be more lonely, who can suffer from this. So you know how when elders are sitting alone in these nursing homes and at home and nobody's really coming to check on them, you see how they decline cognitively, right? In every area. And if you keep doing this and hiding behind your faith, and you telling everybody the Most High got me doing this, God got me doing this, no, you got you doing this, and you're hiding behind your faith. Because that's one thing I teach. You cannot hide behind your faith. The Most High wants you to be healed. It's spelled out in the front of the book right there in Genesis, when he taken his people out of Mitzrayim, aka Egypt, and he takes them in the wilderness. They wasn't just wandering around and he was just giving them that work. He was trying to heal them, to get the slave mentality out, to heal all of their anxiety and depression and self-sabotage that they were doing, along with other things. So we don't talk about that enough in our faith. All right. Um, right. So I talked about, but more and more people, young people like you, suffer from loneliness and cognitive disorder. And we see that in the faith. There's a lot of mental health issues in the faith. Even during our Shavuot celebration, I was like, okay. And and I try not to try not to diagnose everybody that I see. That's not what I'm doing. But because this is part of my calling, I can hear it the minute I see it and hear it, I can pick up on it, like, okay. And it's not to judge that person. However, if that couple ever comes to me, I already can see it. And so I just sit back, and if it's the Most High's will, for me to be introduced to that couple, let's say down the road, I will already have peeped it out, and I will already know how to respond. So that's just a little bit about how I operate, in this. So when I hear it, I'm like, okay, they need some help, but they ain't asking me. So if you don't ask me a question, I'm never going to interject what I think, right? You have to ask, because that's what I told the Most High. I do not want to go around telling people what to do. If they call me or they ask me, then I give you, my suggestion or my take on it. And I told the Most High, if they don't want to hear it, please don't have them call me. Because I have to say what I have to say, because this is how I pray. Most High, you send me people, I will tell them what you want me to say. And if it may sting a little bit, but I know that you sent them and I know they can take it. All right. A lot of us will ruminate over negative social interactions. That's one of my favorite words for 2024, 2025, ruminate. All right, because when I found out that the animals that we are supposed to eat, they should ruminate, I was like, oh my goodness. So rumination, you chewing stuff up, you're supposed to go down to your second stomach, bring it back up again and over again. And that's what you do. You sit there and ruminate over social interactions. Ain't nothing happened yet, but you sit in your room now. If I go to this Passover event and somebody come up to me and then they want to start conversations, I wonder what I'm going to say. Or if that person say this, then how I'm going to respond. Because I know if they say this, I ain't going to want to hear. Ruminate. You ain't even got there yet. You ain't even bought an outfit you ain't even thought about what you're going to wear, how you're going to get there, but you're ruminating over the social interaction. And this is not just in the faith. This is anything. It could be a job mandatory meeting and you panicking. You already going through your mind with 50 different versions of conversations that's going to happen. And I know y'all laughing because I know that's y'all. I know. Children who experience early social isolation experience neural disruptions and delay in their cortical maturity that involves attention, memory, and executive function. So the children are suffering. And that's what we were saying. Why are we seeing so many children suffer from depression and anxiety? Well, when your mama and your daddy and your grandmama got mental health issues, you're probably going to have them too. And in the school system, we see children in emotional decline. They cannot regulate themselves in the classrooms anymore. It's just wild, wild west out in these public school streets. I'm like, Father, I've got to go in the private school, the Christian school sector, whatever sector, but it can't be public, okay? I can't. But, I'm going to pray about reaching out to the schools and offering an emotional regulation class, especially for the younger ones and for the high school, but I want to catch them young, right? High schoolers, they already kind of, but the little ones, by the time they get to high school, they will have learned how to emotionally regulate. Their frontal cortex, y'all know we talk about that. That's a big part of your learning. Are not connected properly for emotional regulation and for learning. So I talk about that all the time. If you watch my other videos talking about mental health and faith, you're going to hear me talk about that frontal cortex. Y'all should know that by now. That's why a lot of us cannot learn, because that frontal cortex actually shrinks. And the longer the years go, 400 or 500 years, you see that Gen Z and the Alpha generation, they just act like they don't have no frontal cortex happening up there, and it really isn't funny because I'm dealing with them and I'm like, what in the world? And we can see the decline. And this happens because of the mental health issues that we are not solving, or we are not getting healed from, we're not getting delivered from, whatever word you want to use. You're not dealing with it. And our children are suffering, right? So because the children cannot emotionally regulate, because the adults cannot emotionally regulate, this creates lasting immature behaviors and social problems that continues throughout the rest of your life. So I talk heavily about mentally immature adults 40 and over. That stuff be grinding my gears because by age 50, you're supposed to have some wisdom. So in your 40s, you're supposed to be learning some stuff by now, honey. And the 40-year-olds is acting like the 20-some-year-olds. The 50 years olds is acting like the 20. I'm like, what is happening? When we don't deal with our mental health, we're going to see generational decline. And I don't care how much Bible you read, your salvation will be intact. But what's not intact is that mental health. That's what's not intact, honey. Because there's a lot of cuckoo running around. And I don't know how else to say that in the Black community. Because it's like, if you don't say it a certain way, Black people not listening. It's like we got to entertain and juggle balls in the air and stand on one foot in order for you to hear that you need to get your mental health in order, right? So do not emotionally isolate. You're going to have to ask the Most High, where did it come from, the root of it, and why are you like that, and how do I come out of it? And I'm talking about do practical steps to come out of it. Now, we have our mental wellness group. If you would like to join, please email me, and I'm going to leave it down in the comments section. We hold each other accountable. Some women don't like that. You know, some women are not ready for that. I've had women say, I'm just not ready to be a part of a community, right? Because it's accountability. It's like, whoa, if I get in this group, I actually, when you first start, I actually reach out to you and I'm checking on you at least for the first 2 to 3 weeks. And some people like, I just wanted to sit and listen, you know, and I'm like, my group is about action. I cannot stand all that yicking and a yakking that we be doing. Women love to talk, 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 talk. And we ain't got no action. I don't like that. I do not like sitting in communities where you just talking and there's no action. That grinds my gears. Where's the action at? Don't trauma dump on me. And then we just go out to eat, you know, we just go to the movies after you done trauma dumped. And we don't have no solutions. I do not like that. And that's how I used to be. I used to be in trauma bonding relationships with people and just trauma dump, you know, back and forth, recalling just trauma, trauma, trauma. And we never had a solution and our lives was jacked up. And I'm not living that way. No, I'm not. So, you know, if you would like to be a part, please reach out, you know, and if you want practical steps, let me know in the comment sections below. And I can do a short, quick video on some real practical steps to get out of emotional isolation, besides going to see your therapist, because you should go see a therapist. But if you cannot afford one, I understand that. That's why we have this safe space for you to join us, right? As we come together to try to heal. And the righteous view, we're coming back. You know, it's the holy days. So a lot of us celebrate Shavuot different times. Like, you know, we have some that's celebrating it June 15th or June 11th. So just give it time for everybody to celebrate and prepare. So we'll be back, I think June 19th. We'll be back with the righteous view, and we're still going to be talking about marriage, and then we're going to get into that other good topic that we want you to invite your friends and family to really sit down for this next topic, because it's super important. All right, until the next video, shalom everyone.